This switch sets him back a bit. That switch propels him forward by grades, and he was once a brightly clad superbug with 4 human arms and 2 human legs, filming movies in Miami like any other fast-paced semi-arachnid. They had warned him that the stunt wouldn't work right, but the fool had insisted on doing it anyway, so now they feed him flies on his electric rambler. I hate these senseless promotional parties. We all dress up like it's the senior prom. Celebrities from Topeka fill the auditorium. Kansas has its rightful share of famous fart heads. Some of them do the evening weather or the sports. The rest of them just hit on the rich idiots. Then they sneak off to spare bedrooms here. You know, like nobody knows what they're up to. They wrap after-sex treats into napkins, then go boom boom. Us Einsteins just stand here dropping crumbs on the floor. Bolsheviks of the world unite! That's what the placard read as we tooled by the rally site in our silver and red sports car. They were protesting something about low wages for entry-level workers, or some crazy shit like that. Who the hell cares about human rights? Didn't they outlaw that during the 1980s? Why don't these bearded fools get a real job? The local gumshoes get together every Tuesday, and they trade stories about unsolved murder cases, and they dust all the furniture for greasy fingerprints. It's the only time all week that the black guys will talk to the white guys. Then they split up into groups of 3. Some of them like to share cigarettes while they frame somebody for despicable crimes. Some nut saw a statue weeping one day, or at least thinks he did. These things are bound to cause a ruckus, even when no one's likely to pay attention to the fruitcake who reported seeing it. Usually stuff like this ends up in the margin scribblings of the Evening Custodian's Daily Journal of Nothingness. Tabloid-style phrases often accompany the item. Let's see, something to the effect of, "Statue weeping uncontrollably," or "Prayers of patron saint go unheeded," or some such tomfoolery. What makes the present report so difficult to dismiss at a glance, however, is the fact that at least a dozen somewhat reliable witnesses also saw it occur at various times. So perhaps we're left with the rantings of a baker's dozen or more of fruitcakes, or several corroborating stories of an ostensibly bizarre event. Such is left to the discretion of the individual reader to decide. Perhaps I would be abdicating my station as an unbiased observer if I were to undermine the credibility of these lunatics at the outset. After all, the Church is the only organ sanctioned to witness miracles, record them into the appropriate books, and then to interpret them correctly for the ignorant masses. And since the statue was seen to be crying on church property during regular business hours, I, for one, rest my case. There's no earthly or divine need for any flaming left-wing evangelist to put in his or her 2 cents worth. The statue will be examined by a slate of red-robed experts whose conclusions will then be re-examined by someone very near to God, who will later tell the rest of us precisely what it was that we would have seen had we been present at the site of the miracle. The whole thing harkens back to the prevailing conditions at the time of the Crusades and/or the Spanish Inquisition. Religion is a subject that's best left to the interpretation of those whose knives are sharper than your own, or whose tempers are more volatile than your own. Yes, massa, yes, boss, may I lick your boots? May I bury my nose in your arse crack, O Effendi? As for this matter of weeping statues and the like, perhaps it was only an isolated incident. One statue, one church hall, one congregation. After all, God works in mysterious ways. It is not God's power that we doubt, just the ungracious whimpering of his lowlier creations. Which is not to suggest that I liken the present situation to any spate of similar events which may or may not have taken place during the days of the Inquisition.